Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, and welcome back to the Balls Out podcast and another edition of Red Devils Roundup. It's been a little while. We've had a little break again because I'll be honest, we were trying to plan shows and we were struggling to find things to talk about because there was just so much bullshit paper talk, and we just thought we're not going to be the sort of channel just to talk about random bullshit that's circulating in the tabloids and the rubbish. We want to talk about certain news stories and proper stuff coming out and our feelings and opinions on it, and not just grab onto any old rubbish. And that's what we're here for. There's been a few updates on the Brian and Buemo. There's been news coming out of the Athletic about some players that we've been offered to sign, and rumours of Ruben Amorim pulling the plug on an Amazon doc, which Mark's got some stray on feelings about. So we'll talk about that. But we are going to start, as you've probably seen by our overlay today, taxi. Anyone order a taxi? So the news breaking over the weekend that I will tell you exactly. Marcus Rashford, Alejandro Garnacho, Anthony, Tyrell Malacia, and Jadon Sancho have all delayed their required return date due to them informing the club that they want to leave Manchester United. Now, we have spoken quite extensively in the past that we were hoping they would be going anyway. We want these types of players. Although the only one we probably didn't mention was Anthony, because he was probably the only one that really showed any sort of grit last season. But on the headline itself, Mark, what are your feelings? Good evening, mate. How are you anyway?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. It's been like you said, a while since we've had a show on, and yeah, pretty much nothing's really happened. Lots has been spoken about, and jack shit happens, and that's a Man United transfer window, isn't it? So,
Yeah.
um, what are my thoughts about this? I've got some weird thoughts about it. I think the lack of transfers in, I really don't give a shit if this manager finally manages to wave his magic wand and get shit out of the club that he doesn't want. So many managers have spoken about getting rid of players they don't want, and it's never happened. So is this the day, or are we got the hope that kills us happening again?
Yeah.
That's my worry. Malacia, I don't care what everyone thinks. Anyone can comment on about Malacia. You got to feel sorry for the kid. The injury, the double operation because it went wrong the first time, and his age, he's pretty much lost his footballing career. He's probably got to go find another job.
Yeah.
In all honesty, he probably has to go find another job. So I feel sorry for him. Anthony has earned a transfer. I think we can all agree.
100%.
I would love someone to put in the chat or in the comments, for they don't feel Anthony has done anything special, because that otherwise that's what a loan and a transfer is all about.
Yeah.
He's done his job. And then we're just left with, we should be left with more, but it's just two players, isn't it?
Well, it's the only ones that are asking to leave, apparently. But yeah.
The only ones asking to leave, but that's because they still think they're Billy Big Bollocks, and the fact that no one's coming in for them shows they're not. In Rashford and Garnacho. But I'm in two minds about Luke Shaw. Should Luke Shaw be in this list? But he's come back. He was there at first day of fit again, ready to go. Looks like he's lost some weight. Looks like he's slimmed down. But we now have five left backs even at the club. So it'll be interesting what happens there. But someone's trying to make shit up about Kobe Mainu wanting out now as well. I've seen some stuff about that.
He's potentially asking. There's been a lot of talk in the last. Well, it's been going on for months that he's potentially asking for a better deal. But I think, as far as I can work out, I think even he knows that he's not really done anything superbly special enough to earn himself a new deal and a big money contract.
Exactly that.
And if he was being a bit of a petulant child about it, I would trigger the extension so he's got an extra year on whatever money he's on now, rather than give.
Okay.
He's on 50k, so
He's
he's
on
not going to
50,
start.
60k. It might have gone up this year, just they might have done a yearly increase, which happens a lot on the lower wages like that. But I don't think Kobe Mainu, he has not come across to me at any point the kind of player who's gone, I can get more money somewhere else. I know how good I am. He looks so chilled, so calm. I
He
don't
looks
see
like
that.
he's just playing his football. At his current age and his style, he's just playing his football. He's doing what he does. You know, he's not a world beater. He had a really good half of a season where he really was playing really well.
Yeah.
Sort of went off the ball a little bit this season, just gone. But I think even he knows that he can do better, and I think that will come.
Yeah.
Going back to the players that want to leave, so obviously we've all agreed for months that Rashford is a lost cause. You know, he doesn't want to play for Manchester United. He's doing interviews in Spain telling how much he wants to play for Barcelona and Lamine Yamal, blah, blah, blah. Anthony was a little bit of a surprise because I think he was. I think a lot of us were hoping that he would want to come back and sort of, what's the word, try and prove himself. Not surprised at all by Sancho because he's not happy unless his ego's being stroked.
I don't think he's even going to go, if I'm honest.
I don't
I
think
think his
anyone
agent's
will.
destroying the deal. So that seemed like a done deal the other day, didn't it? It was all pretty much reported done deal, still not signed, and now they're looking at someone else before they actually put the pen to paper.
That was Fenerbahce, wasn't it? He was going to Turkey,
No,
right?
it was meant to be in a done deal to Juventus.
Oh right, yeah.
Juventus are now looking at signing someone else, Conceição, before Sancho, using their money to get a guaranteed player. And I was on another show before saying, okay, Juventus want Sancho, but they sold what's his name to Liverpool last season. Oh God, the Italian right winger. I can't think what his bloody name is. It always happens. It'll come to me. He went to Liverpool. But Sancho's not better than him. They got rid of him, and he's fallen off a cliff from being probably one of the best Italian players to become Chiesa.
Oh yeah.
To becoming a nothing player, and a bit part player, but walked away with a Premier League title.
Yeah.
So, you've got to look at yourself sometimes. Go, am I better than X, Y, or Z if I go in that team? And Sancho isn't. Rashford is begging anyone to take him. He's not better than any left or right winger at Barcelona. So I don't see any of these deals going through. I see them. You tell me what you think about this. Do you go accept transfer offers, go talks to clubs, be an absolute dick, so they pull the offer, or you don't agree to so it breaks down, as they call it. Sorry,
Yeah.
the deal broke down, and you can at least turn around and say, "Well, I tried to leave the club, but deep down, you knew you can now just sit on the bench or sit there and just take your wage."
I mean, that's the thing nowadays, isn't it? Is that is so these players that want to leave, is playing football the most important part? You sort of get the impression with Malacia that we all thought for a long time it's injury prone. He's not been able to get his career going at United, and that's completely understandable. If you're an injury prone player, it's difficult.
What left back does, this happened to Amas, this has happened to Malacia, Luke Shaw. So I am worried about Diego Leon and Dorgo.
Yeah, we haven't even spoken about him yet, but yeah, it's is it important now for players like Rashford, like Sancho, like Anthony, just to go out and play football? Or is it all about just, I don't want to play for Manchester United, but nobody else wants to buy me, so I'm just going to sit in your reserves or your bomb squad for the next 2.5 years on 300 grand a week plus?
I think you just hit the nail on the head. It's
So,
about sitting.
so
The fact
in that
is,
cases, yeah, go on.
I was going to say, we all bitch about these players and what their wages are on, right? And we can't not, because we're football fans and it's destroying our club. But all they did was sign the contract offered to them.
Yeah.
We didn't need to offer that contract. So we need them out because we need the money. the money has destroyed their mentality. You know, I've got this celebration, but the money's destroyed my mental well-being, right?
Yeah.
So I'm never going to be too hard on them. But about going out and doing the job, Rashford went to Aston Villa and started to do the job, started to look like the player we had under Ten Hag first season, ironically. Gets knocked out Champions League, injured. Doesn't play the rest of the season, comes back to us because I don't want to play 40 million, you know? But apparently they didn't, it isn't the fact they didn't want to sign him, they just couldn't afford him.
And they couldn't afford the wages.
Believe what you want on that. We could have done a swap deal, you know, if they needed money, and they could have entertained ways if you wanted a player. And that's probably the only time a swap deal would have worked for FFP. And then you've got Garnacho. He's pretty much doing exactly what Rashford did, but he's going to get what he wants out of it.
Yeah.
And he's not smart enough at his age to work that out. That is agents. That is family members putting pressure on him. You know, I want this money. I want this car. Oh, you can do this. You can get that. Who gives a shit? Just go out and play football.
Just
and
do
you're
what
right.
you're paid to do, yeah.
Well, it's not that. Do what you weren't even paid to do. How did you get there? You weren't paid to do any of this to get there, were you? You just did it. So
it is just baffling. It really is. But yeah, it's going to get to a point that they may have to look at the option of tearing out their contracts, but they can't afford realistically to pay. It's going to be Sancho's 17 million before his deal's up.
Yeah, 17 million left on what we owe or anything like that. So we could tear his contract up because we want more than 17 million. So I think you can do that. But Rashford, fucking hell, no, we can't touch his contract.
No.
So
I don't really see that as a viable option. I think I wouldn't be surprised if Anthony ends up staying. But like we said, I wouldn't be surprised if all of these players stay. And it
I
just
can see Anthony going out on loan again. You know, I've said before, I think he can do a job as a right wing back. I genuinely think you could find a place for him in our team if he's got his confidence back.
Yeah, it'd be interesting because it's getting to a stage now. We're really interested because we're going to come on to Mbeumo a bit later on. But if the Mbeumo deal comes off, it's going to be really interesting that first game of the season to see how we actually line up. Because if that, what I believe, is going to be our only two signings, you know, we're not. It doesn't look like we're avidly getting action anywhere else. There's
Totally
talks.
agree.
So yeah, it's a busy summer, but not as much as we were hoping. You know, we've just been linked as always, and not really anything coming off as per usual.
Yeah, a busy summer, but nothing's moving. Right. So what's busy about it? Just us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what else we can say about the outgoings apart from, you know, give me their mobile numbers and I'll book them a cab. You know, let them know when it's outside. But let's talk about what the manager's done.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the fact that he's saying, you guys stay the fuck away for the club for another week till we step foot on the plane and then you can come in.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what he's done.
Yeah. We're going on pre-season
training. Meetings.
Yeah. Stay away. Keep the toxicity out of the club. Stay away. We're going to America. We're going on our pre-season tour.
Yeah.
You lot aren't
talk about standards I expect. That's what I think he's doing.
Yeah, speaking of standard, yeah, easy for me to say. Standards being set. It's come out again recently, again being the operative word.
Yeah.
That Ruben Amorim, this is reported by The Athletic. Ruben Amorim pulled the plug on Manchester United's secret deal with Amazon over an Access All Areas documentary due to concerns over whether the timing was appropriate amid the team's struggles in recent years. Manchester United due to turn down £10 million offer from Amazon to
Ooh, 10
film
million.
one of their series, All or Nothing, set in the behind the scenes at Old Trafford. Now, I haven't watched all of these All or Nothings. I've watched a little bit of the Spurs one, which turned out to be the Jose Mourinho show. Watched a little bit of the Arsenal one. I haven't even bothered with the City one because I couldn't care less. But it definitely adds something to what is a mystery. And I do think, from a personal point of view, I agree if this is true, and obviously we don't know for certain because it's all paper talk. But if it is true, and Ruben Amorim said no, I don't want it at the moment at the club because it's not the right time. I agree entirely that we are not in a stable enough position to be having TV cameras following around these players. We need to have 2 or 3 years of steady contention in the Premier League. Not to say we're going to get up into the Champions League spots or anything like that, just a literal steady ship. Then you can start letting them in to see the behind the scenes and stuff. But 10 million quid, it's fuck all. It really is fuck all. I don't know what you think, Mark.
So, Amazon first approached us when Eric Ten Hag came in. And they were looking to do exactly this because Ten Hag was going to be the new Man United saviour.
Yeah.
Amazon know, and every Man United fan know, the chat know, anyone like that Man United puts bums on seats, will sell. It'll be the biggest documentary they do unless they get the Dallas Cowboys in a documentary done on the NFL series of All or Nothing. We all want to watch it because we want to see is it true or is it not true behind the scenes. Are the medical staff actually cutting these players open because they can't play? Or,
Yeah.
What are they doing? So Ten Hag turned it down because behind the scenes was a shit show. Ralph Ragnick said it was a shit show. Ronaldo said it was a shit show. So why would you put a camera crew in there? Okay. Amrin's gone in and he's already been stitched up at the end of the lot. When he came in, didn't get the players, in January. So far, he signed Cunha and Dorgu, and then the rest are children. Diego Leon, a 16-year-old from Southampton, another 16-year-old, I believe, from France now. What's that got to do with the first team when the first team are all about how their hair looks and he's trying to freeze players out. Do you want that on camera? Do you want those arguments on camera?
I mean, Amazon do.
What are you doing? I'm Marcus Rashford. I've got a fucking, Mansouri Bentley wrapped around a lamppost. Do you know who I am? You don't want that.
We don't want that as Manchester United fans, but that is where the Amazon sort of, that's what they want. That's why I'm surprised that they haven't they may have done, but not come back with like a counter offer to say we want to film it this year. We want to do it this year because we know what a shit show your club is. We're going to offer you 50 or whatever.
100. We're 10 times that. We'll give you 100 million because we will make 100 million back. Everyone will watch it on Amazon. Everyone will watch it. And when it comes out, release it 1 episode a week, or you can pay to get them all at once. Everyone on that first day is going to take time off work, 2 days off work, binge watch it. They will because everyone wants to laugh at Man United.
And I think that's exactly what Amazon want. That's exactly what rival clubs want. As United fans, we want to see what is happening, but it would just be an absolute farce at this time. It would be great telly. Don't get me wrong, it would be great telly. We want to see these Amorim explosions in the dressing room. We want to see him throwing shit at the telly. We want to see him shouting at Marcus Rashford saying, "You're not fucking fit to wear the shirt," blah, 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 blah. We want all of that, but I think if it is true, we're not here to cast aspersions. It may not be. It might just be paper talk. But if it is true, I think Ruben Amorim's done the correct thing by saying, no, we don't want this at the club at this moment in time.
Well, I will cast on it. I don't think it for one main reason. It's entirely true, or this is why it will never happen. MUTV.
Yeah.
We cannot have two TV crews going around. MUTV already film before matches and that. They don't want to get other cameras and it's not like this is a film set where there's loads of space to edit out other cameras and wanting the same shots and things like that. Not many clubs have TV stations or TV crews there already. Man United do. And the whole stadium is already linked up with proper TV cameras filming stuff around the stadium, outside the stadium, around the training ground. That would be my main reason for if they're doing it, it's because of the money.
Yeah.
If he went, we can get you an extra 10 million. I want 100 million. I want my players. 10 million ain't going to pay fucking Rashford off to get him out the door, is it? It's not even going to pay Manasseh off with it, potentially.
Yeah, maybe that's what they could do. Maybe they could turn around to Amazon and say, look, these 4 players that want to leave, we can't afford to sack them. So you pay off their contracts and we'll give you 2 seasons of all or nothing. What's that, 60, 70 million?
Yeah, that's it. I think if when Man United go in, they'll be the first football team that gets a second season of it.
It would be interesting because they haven't done one for when was the Arsenal one? That was the last one, wasn't it? So that was what?
Newcastle.
Oh yeah, Newcastle. Yeah, I didn't watch that one either.
I don't even think that was called All or Nothing. That might have been slightly different, actually.
But yeah, it's great for other rival fans to see the shit show that it really is, and to see the empty cafeteria, the empty canteen, and just
the rats running around in the chicken and everything like that.
Yeah, so if it's true, great. Like, good on Amarin for sort of backing down and saying no, we don't want it.
Yeah,
but for me personally, it is definitely not the right time to be letting the cameras in.
It was a weird time to announce it again. Like, if you were doing this, I would have wanted to know before the transfers. We're not getting players in, and then you allow it to announce that we can't get that extra 10 million. That extra 10 million, here you go. I must be getting used to this. That extra 10 million would get us and Burmo over the deal. So let's move on to that.
Yeah.
Segue. I'm getting good.
Segue. Very good. Yeah. Burmo is very much getting frustrated. And Manchester United are getting frustrated as well at the it's fair to say it's just a farce of an attempt of signing a player.
It's horrendous, isn't it?
So the latest is that 2 bids have been rejected. And Brian and Bramo, where is it? I had it saved somewhere. Brian and Bramo was expected to report for pre-season training at Brentford yesterday, but the club told him he won't have to report back until next Monday. I don't think that really matters. Here we go. Manchester United's absolute focus remains on Brian and Bramo, with talks set to continue this week. No agreement with Brentford last week, but MUFC keep working on it, and Brian also keeps giving priority to United move. The deal is still on, according to Mr. Fabrizio Romano. And sources coming out of Old Trafford basically saying today that if the 3rd bid is rejected, then they're going to be exploring other alternative options, which, from the rumours we've been hearing, there is no alternative options.
Well, the alternative option has got to be this. So I was thinking about this, not for the show, just in general. Man United are literally probably the most arrogant, insulting football club out there when it comes to transfers.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's worth 100 million. We'll offer you 50.
Yeah.
And then they're like, counter offer, and you're like 55. Do you know what I mean? We take the piss, and I think clubs have had enough of it. We are not. We'll offer you 50, and why are you only offering that? Because I'm Sir Alex Ferguson and I want that fucking player and you're going to give him to me. That doesn't exist.
Yeah.
You know, as soon as Ferguson or Manchester United, or this goes back 60s, 70s. As soon as Manchester United said they wanted a player, if the player wanted that move, the player came because no club could hold on to him. And Bruno isn't going to go on strike. He isn't this kind of guy.
No.
But if we're arguing over a fucking 2 or 3 million, then get the Amazons deal signed. You know, I am spot on, aren't I? If we're arguing over that, then do the deal. Make us look like idiots, but get the players in. If we get the players in, we don't look like idiots because, you know, it's going to go one way or the other. We are literally perched on a fence as United fans right now.
Yeah.
You know, not in a good way. You know, not taking a vote. It's just seeing, are we actually going to fall into the Championship or come back from despair? But Gyökeres, the whole Gyökeres thing is still an ongoing bullshit thing until someone actually comes out and says, yes, he's there and he's coming for, there's actually been a signed contract or whatever. There's still no movement from the player. He hasn't had a flight booked. The Athletic aren't going, yes, it's coming into Gatwick on this, you know, it's not happening right
Yeah.
now.
The
It's just
very
bullshit
latest.
talk.
Yeah. The very latest on the Gyökeres deal is pretty much, it looks like it's nearly a done deal at Arsenal, but nothing really concrete. It's all pretty much high in the
Yeah,
sky
but
at the minute.
Gyökeres isn't at the club. The club gave him time off. They don't want him back at the club, bit like we're doing with Anthony and that, right?
Mm.
So you can agree every aspect of this deal with the agent. The thing you can't agree is with the club, is the price and the add-ons. And literally it'll go like that. As soon as that's agreed, the guy's going from, I don't know, let's pretend he's in Marbella. Ping! I'm arriving at Heathrow and I'm having my medical the same day.
Yeah.
So money's got to go in the back, you know, whatever this first offer is of what they want. Say it's 90 million for him. You know, as soon as we receive the first 20 million, he can come. Yeah. But as we speak, that hasn't happened. But if United aren't getting Gyökeres, Rasmus is starting up front.
Yeah.
Then we've got Cunha. Right now, then we got Bruno Fernandes because we have no Bruno. We might want him there.
Yeah, but we
But
haven't got him at the
the
moment.
other 10, it'll be Bruno Fernandes. And then we got two central midfielders of Ugarte and someone.
Yeah,
Right?
either Casemiro or Mainu at the minute.
Yeah. We could have Dorgu and Leon currently because we bought them left and right wing backs. And then our centre backs pick themselves, I think. We've spoken about that before. Euro, Mazraoui, then one in the middle. Or even Euro in the middle and Shaw or Martinez as left-sided centre back. Even Heaven.
Well,
We're loaded in defenders all of a sudden.
you bring up Martinez. Actually, he was it today. He's released a video on Twitter or yesterday. He looks ripped. He looks so ready to come back. He looks fit and raring to go.
Yeah, but that
Lifted like
doesn't mean
180 kgs on the bench press.
yeah. But then how's he running at that body weight? So
He was never much of a runner anyway, was he? Never much
no,
of a runner.
exactly. So if you start bulking up and slowing yourself down more, Harry
Yeah,
Maguire, do you remember he was told to slim down to lose some of his bulk because it was slowing him down.
yeah.
So you know there was a sweet spot, but
Also, a little side note as we're talking about United defenders, Gabriel Henze was
gone to Arsenal.
confirmed today as the new assistant coach at Arsenal. That's a shame.
Well, I never saw him as a coach. I'm quite surprised at that. No, good luck to him. You know, when you're coaching, we can't say anything. Brian Kidd
Yeah,
sat there, won everything with United, and then goes to City. I'm not sure which is a bigger betrayal, him, Tevez, or Schmeichel, by doing that, because Brian Kidd was played as well at United.
breaking news in the last few moments. I don't know how reliable this source is. Marco Giordano works as a journalist in Italy. at Radio CRC, whoever that is. Sancho Juve has never been so close. Negotiations completed. The player will be a Juventus player, barring complications, which are not foreseeable at the moment. 25 million valuation. Everything's settled with United and Sancho's agent. So,
Right.
potential of Sancho leaving. Again, I don't know how. Let me translate this post. Here we go.
But the main word there is, as always, potential of Sancho leaving.
The local Italian journalist with Radio CRC, solid on Napoli news, but hit or miss elsewhere. This is Grok. You know, when people ask, is it reliable?
Yeah.
This is Sancho Juve buzz is picking up steam in multiple spots, but no top tier confirmation. I'd say 50% reliable. Proceed with caution. Interesting. That's great. I love that.
Proceed with caution. I love that. Is this from a journalist or the police?
Yeah. Other news just coming out in the last few minutes. Marcus Rashford reported back from MUFC training on Monday/Tuesday, despite being extra time away to find a new club. He trained on an individual basis at Carrington and did not take part in training with the rest of the squad. That's completely, normal and understandable.
Is there a picture there of him in a purple training kit?
He's in that one.
New training kit is purple. That's that's beginning of last season. That picture.
Oh, there you go then.
That training kit doesn't even exist anymore, and nor does the sponsor, because we lost our sponsorship by being out of Champions League.
Yeah, that was from Mark Critchley at The Athletic. Unless that's not the picture he used. That might not be the picture he used. That might just be a picture that somebody else has used. Either way.
Yeah.
Yeah, then you've got the memes coming out of him trying to open the door and it not opening. Marcus arriving for Carrington on Monday morning. What else are we going to talk? Go on, sorry.
No. I was just going to say, it's like we've pretty much covered that. What do you reckon? Do you think? I still think we sign him, Burnley, and then maybe one other position.
I don't. I think if it's not done by the end of this week, I don't think it will be done this summer.
So I think the reason I think it will be done, and it's slow. Brentford don't even currently have a manager. They haven't replaced Frank, have they yet?
No, they hired Keith Andrews. Yeah, their set piece coach took over as full time.
Oh well, that's why it's been so quiet. It was an internal.
And they're trying. They would obviously maybe all their eggs were in we're having to sell Christian Norgard basket. What are we going to do? And their goalkeeper went to. Why do I want to say?
Goalkeeper's gone to Ten Hag, mate.
Yes, that's what I thought it was by Leverkusen.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens, but I don't.
So maybe to lose their goalkeeper, their number one, and then their captain, and now potentially in Buemo, maybe they're dragging their heels a little bit, trying to get a bit more money out of us.
Maybe they've got to look for where they're going to spend that money.
Maybe.
You know, who's signed someone so far in this transfer window? Forget the little one. In this transfer window, Arsenal have obviously signed someone to cover their.
Their previous mistakes, which we can't talk about.
Yeah.
They signed Norgard. Arsenal have signed Norgard and Zubamendi. That's a big signing, by the way. That's a really big signing.
I think he's going to flop. I generally think he's going to flop. And I think that's why Liverpool probably looked into it a little bit more and didn't go for him. He was linked with Liverpool.
Liverpool went for Florian Wirtz, didn't they? That's another big signing.
Yeah, but I suppose that was in this window. It was all spoken about, but it was signed in this window.
Liam Delap, that was before the Club World Cup, so that was a little window.
So no one's signing players in general. No one's shifting players out, really, apart from.
Is it because of? Isn't it the PSR deadline is like the end of this week or something?
30th of June was PSR deadline. We can now spend $1 billion if we want, mate, as long as we can get it back by the start of by the 30th of June. We're right at the start of that financial window. This is why I asked that question weeks ago about breaking an FFP, because as long as we're successful, we get the money back.
And that's obviously why Newcastle they're signing Anthony Elanga today.
Yeah. Which we make money out of. There's
Which
8
we'll
million.
get a bit of a chunk. Yeah, we'll get a bit of a chunk of change out of that.
Alonso Fernandez to Real Madrid, about 8 million. Mason Greenwood, wherever he goes, can anything up to about 25 million. We've got money coming in from players that we probably shouldn't have let go. So Mason Greenwood, at the end of the day, he's an innocent guy that we've had to let go for the right reasons. We let him go for the right reasons. You know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't have been safe.
Yeah, we won't get into that territory, but yeah, I know what you're trying to say. But yeah, there's a few players that we've definitely let go that maybe we should have hit. But at the end of the day, if people like Elanga, he basically said, I want to play football, and Ten Hag said, well, you're not in my plans, and that was it. He was sold, and he went and he had a really stellar season at Forest, and now he's being signed by Newcastle.
Yeah, and probably was one of the players of the season last year.
And we're going to start to see a little bit of a trend there. You're going to start seeing players like Morgan Gibbs-White. A lot of the Forest players that had really stellar seasons are going to get picked up for big money by bigger clubs. But you can argue, Forest only just missed out on Champions League football, so they're playing European football next year. He's now going from Europa League to Champions League football, and probably will start every game for Newcastle. I would imagine, because that right hand side
it
for
looks like
Newcastle.
he'll come in and Anthony Gordon will leave. So, which I don't get, because I think Elanga's better down the right, but there's something going on with Gordon.
I wouldn't be surprised if Gordon. I reckon it would be Gordon, Isaac, and Elanga as a front three for Newcastle.
That's dangerous.
That is dangerous, especially when you've got people like Guimaraes behind. Yeah, scary. Right, let's move on to our final piece of business. Right. Again, reported by The Athletic earlier today, Manchester United have been offered the chance to sign 3 separate different players, different clubs. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Jamie Vardy and Callum Wilson. It is expected that Man United will only advance these talks, if at all, towards the end of the window if they do not get any of their top targets. Now, first of all, I'm going to discount one of them pretty much straight away. Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Rule number 1 of Fergie's rule book was buy players that play.
Well, I call him Dominic Calvin Klein, so
yeah. So as much as I like
playing football,
I like him when he's on his day. He's a really, really good player, but he's just riddled with injuries, and it would be such a shame. It is such a shame that his sort of career at Everton has sort of gone on the downslope because of injuries. Jamie Vardy, you've spoken about Jamie Vardy in the past, so do you want to take Jamie Vardy?
Yes. I know it sounds stupid, but what's the difference between a Vardy, a Cavani, Igalo, and Ibrahimovic? The guy has done the business in the Premier League constantly, and every fucking league, that he's ever played in. He is the kind of person that Rasmus needs. People might not they might look at me and think, what the fuck is he saying? But Vardy has played against every kind of player. He knows everything. This is a guy that learns different languages to wind up defenders. So, because he ain't going to win a physical duel. He doesn't want to be held.
Yeah.
He wants to piss them off, but put them off guard so he can sprint in behind. We know Rasmus has got pace. So,
are you a little bit surprised that he hasn't been snapped up by somebody else?
Well, he turned down Celtic. There was a massive rumour of him going to Wrexham, and I could really see that as a good fit. So if he doesn't come to us, I could still see him potentially doing that.
I personally would love to see him and his family moving out to America, playing in the MLS and living out, just a great career in the MLS, scoring goals for fun, just having a good time
in
LA.
Be the next Robbie Keane out there.
Yeah, he could be a massive star out there.
Yeah, Robbie Keane.
Yeah,
Just
Robbie
trying to
Keane,
think which Keane it was.
LA Galaxy.
Robbie Keane. So,
No, it's just I'm surprised that he hasn't had. He may have had offers that we haven't heard about, but I'm really surprised that he hasn't ended up at sort of like a. I don't know. I don't know many MLS teams, but I wouldn't imagine he'll go to like Inter Miami or anything like that. But you know, yeah, a big team in the MLS just to wind down his career, you know, earn some money, and just finish playing in America. Can't be that all bad.
just while you're talking, I was just trying to do a bit of research.
Oh,
Brentford haven't replaced their manager. He's interim. Because there's a story in The Athletic, believe it or not, Brentford
fucking athletic.
contacts Postecoglou to replace him, to replace Frank, manager swap. We're our Frank, and Postecoglou goes there. By Jay Harris, same shit journalist. So
Where are you seeing head coach interim?
well, he can't be. But if you're contacting a Postecoglou to replace him, he can't be the thing. One of those stories isn't correct, then, isn't it?
Well, this is on
Brentford
Brentford.
contact
This is
Postecoglou.
yeah. So
But
this
the
is
Athletic up
Brentford.
live in front of me.
Yeah, they're chatting shit.
I say that all the time, mate, about them.
Yeah, this is it is official from Brentford that it's Keith Andrews has taken over from Thomas Frank. He's been at the club for like 2 years as the set piece coach, so he's been been and around it. But yeah,
Set piece coaches again, mate. That fucking Arsenal one needs to sit down for the whole season. Someone's going to throw something at him from the crowd. I'm telling you.
hasn't he gone somewhere? Hasn't he gone to like? Oh no, Matt Norton being a set piece coach. His second in charge went to
Edu's now
Edu
world
left,
football
but
for Nottingham Forest.
his because Gabriel Henze has taken over from somebody else who's gone to I want to say Como or something.
Oh, really? With Fabregas? That's quite funny.
Potentially, yeah, I could be wrong, but anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're taking Vardy. I'm surprised he's not been snapped up by somebody already.
Who was the third?
Callum Wilson.
It's just never a bloody fit. But I'd take him as well. Someone else to learn from. But he's a totally different kind of striker.
He's not much of a goal scorer, more of a right place, right time kind of player, isn't he?
Well, that's one of the things that he needs to learn. So, about reading the game and being in the right place at the right time.
Yeah,
But then how many times have I said it? You can't be in the right place or the right time if the ball doesn't ever get there.
yeah,
And that's our problem. We don't create the chance. So we can see what the manager's trying to do, create more chances. We go to 3 creative players instead of having one who's trying to be in all 3 positions of that said creative quartet.
yeah, difficult. But yeah, like it says, I can't imagine they'll be looking into those with any real seriousness. I can't see the Dominic Calvert-Lewin thing coming off. I just think that's completely against. But to be fair, all 3 of these players are completely against the Jim Ratcliffe, the Ineos sort of.
Well, they're not. They're free, mate. Spend no money.
Well, no, they're free, yeah, but they're not the marquee
The
side.
age.
Yeah, the
age
age,
and
the
profile.
value. Yeah, they're not the profile that Ineos are looking at.
But,
But
marginal gains.
desperation might get the better of it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's still a shit show. Let's call it what it is. We are still a shit show right now. Until
Yeah,
these players come in, like pre-season training starts like Thursday properly. They're all doing assessments currently. That's why they stagger them coming in. They've got to do their jump test. They've got to do all these biometric testing, and then they do a couple of rondos and just have a bit of fun, bit of bonding. And then they'll probably all be in by Thursday. And
fly
Thursday,
out.
Friday, Saturday, you just train every day.
When is the first pre-season game? It is 19th at the Strawberry Arena against Leeds.
Yeah.
So
Norway, isn't it? Is it Norway?
What, the Strawberry Arena? Is it?
I'm sure it's somewhere in Scandinavia.
I think we've had this conversation before.
Probably
Yeah, you're right. Sweden.
Sweden.
Yeah.
It's out that way.
Largest stadium in Scandinavia.
Yeah. So again, this is the money spinner. We know we've got a shit ton of fans that fly over on a regular basis. Why do we always play in Scandinavia? Why are we always playing in the States? Money.
Mm.
Why are we not playing, your Bolton and people like that, like we always did when we were a good team? Because we could train up until the day before the match. Now we can't do that. We're flying and we're doing everything else.
Yeah, so we've got that one game in Scandinavia, then we fly to the States.
Well, they will literally fly back here, change their pants, fly out to the States,
Have a week in MetLife is New Jersey.
have 2 or 3 days training. Maybe less than 10 hours training all the time they're there, because they will do media commitments. They then have to fly to the next flight. So it's all recovery because it's so hot out there, as we're seeing from the Club World Cup.
Mm.
It's everything Amarin needs is not coming. We're not getting players. He's not getting time on the training pitch. Unless he's given them a fact file while they've been away. This is what, learn your role. This is where I expect you to be. Here's videos. He could have done that. It's not unheard of that players are out doing these drills and that. You see them training. Well, that's because the club's told them what they need to work on. They're not doing it off their own back. Not always, anyway.
Yeah.
So
we shall see. So, yeah, basically...
when's our next show, then? When's our next show?
We will hopefully we'll be back hopefully a bit more regularly now. So we'll definitely be doing a show probably over the weekend, Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah.
In the hope that we're able to talk Red Devils, sign Brian and Bramo.
Well, that's sort of where I was going with this. We're looking at what maximum 5 days from now. We should have a new player, because the shit is just about to hit the shovel if we don't.
Yeah. Yeah, we can't start the new season with just Cunha.
No way. If Cunha was Haaland, then maybe it would be a bit different. You're taking someone from the top of the table to lift us up. We took some. You still got to remember, Cunha come from the team that finished below us. He done what he could with them. They did struggle to score goals for most of the season.
But then again, remember when we signed Van Persie? That came from a team below us.
Yeah, it's not quite the same kind of below, is it? It's
Just
below, but not quite below.
Well, I think we finished second that year, and they finished, fourth?
Yeah, but they're still finishing the Champions League.
Yeah, fair enough.
But, in Burmo, this is what I meant about we're arrogant, taking the piss. If we pay 62.5 million, that's the starting offer for Burmo. We come in with ridiculous money. Because his stats, his league position, everything is higher than the player we signed for 62.5.
We shouldn't be fucking about it. Just go back to him and say, right, 75 million, done.
Well, how do you negotiate a house, a car? Right, I give you a price. It's 70 million. So my opening offer is 60, because I'm looking at splitting the difference, aren't I?
Mm-hmm.
So if they're wanting 70 and we've gone in at 50, we're not going to get him for 60. We're already too low.
So you need to be in about 65.
Where most people would have walked away and gone, mate, you're wasting your fucking time. Jog on. It's just because it's football that doesn't happen. They've got nothing to lose by still entertaining it. Someone else might come to the table. But Mbeumo has come out and said, hasn't publicly said it. It's been reported, has said he only wants to sign for Man United. If that was the case, the price would have dropped.
Yeah.
We were saying that about Garnacho. We can't have it for our players and not have it for others. So we'll see.
We shall
We will
see.
see.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be back at the weekend with fresh news of a load of outgoings and hopefully the signing of Mbeumo, or at least a fee agreed for Mbeumo. Because as far as we're aware, basically the personals are done. Like the contract is pretty much just waiting for the ink, as far as I can work out in my head.
Well, yeah, it's like me and you right now, mate. I'm going to come work for you. You're like, yeah, Mark, I'll give you this. We've agreed it all, but I've got to put the pen on the paper.
Yeah.
And someone else, the company, has got to agree it. That's where we're at. You can agree stuff with players every day, all day, and twice on Sunday. But, you know,
Yeah, hopefully by the weekend, when we come back, we will be able to report that Brian Mbeumo has signed for Manchester United, and Garnacho, Anthony, and whoever in that flurry of players that wants to leave has already left the club. But we shall see. Thank you very much, Mark. I really appreciate your time tonight. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Please like and subscribe, and keep an eye on our socials for any upcoming shows. And we will see you, hopefully, over the weekend.
catch you later.